This is also the National Institutes of Health, which last year proposed to amend their mission statement to exclude the word disability, saying it, quote, could be interpreted as perpetuating ableist beliefs that disabled people are flawed and need to be fixed. Let me take this moment to go on record. Folks, if I am ever struck blind or deaf or paralyzed, don't praise me, fix me. Small matters when activism merges with narcissism. Less about the cause and more about me. Look at me, watch me. And if you like the way I'm fighting injustice, remember to like and subscribe. When Adele lost weight, she was excoriated for betrayal. To who? She betrayed the unhealthy?
The outrage machine is running at full speed again. But this time, it's not targeting a villain. It's not going after corruption or injustice. No, this time, the far left has set its sights on people actually trying to solve real problems. Because apparently, in today's activist playbook, helping people only counts if it comes through the right ideological channels. Bill Maher sees straight through that twisted logic. And once he starts pulling it apart, the whole performance collapses into something almost embarrassing to watch. If you're here for sharp political commentary with zero sugarcoating, hit subscribe, drop a like, and let's get into it.
The Washington Post reporter tweeted, what truly needs curing is society's view of disabled people. And BuzzFeed agreed, MrBeast seems to regard disability as something that needs to be solved. Okay, disability is something that needs to be solved. And what truly needs curing is blindness. Here's how I know this. The newly sighted people are cheering, not booing, because MrBeast, whoever the that is, just cured them and you didn't do You know the expression, or go blind? You didn't either.
Maher doesn't ease into this. He goes straight for the contradiction and never lets go. His argument is blunt. The far left has built an entire culture around performing outrage at anyone who dares to do something useful outside their approved moral framework. They talk endlessly about compassion, justice, helping people. But the second someone actually steps in and delivers something concrete, they transform into full-time motive inspectors. Their latest complaint is almost too absurd to take seriously. If someone helps people and films it for YouTube, that somehow makes the help fake. But Maher cuts through that with one obvious question: where do they think the money came from? From YouTube. The videos aren't separate from the charity. The videos are what fund the charity. That's what makes this outrage so fundamentally dishonest. It's not about morality. It's not about decency. It's about power, control, and deciding who gets to be seen doing good in public.
I don't get the woke. They love nothing more than being a victim, except when they really are one, and then they tell you, I am not, go f*** yourself. Get this. Last month, MrBeast, in another move, funded the construction of 100 wells across 5 countries in Africa to provide clean drinking water to 500,000 people. Good thing, right? No. Not good, bad. The founder of a charity called Face Africa called it kind of frustrating that overnight this person comes along who happens to be a white male figure with a huge platform, and all of a sudden he gets all of the attention. Yes, but you know what else is frustrating? Dying of
500,000 people got clean water. And somehow, that became a problem. MrBeast funded 100 wells across 5 countries in Africa. Real infrastructure, real impact, real lives changed. And instead of asking, how do we scale this, some people decided the real issue was that he was getting attention for it. Let that sink in. Someone is actively solving the crisis you claim to care about, and your response is resentment. Not collaboration. Not amplification. Resentment. But here's what that reaction actually reveals, and it's uglier than anyone on that side wants to admit. If the spotlight shifts, the funding shifts. If the funding shifts, the influence shifts. And when the influence shifts, so does control of the narrative. That's why the outrage feels so calculated. It was never about ethics. It was never about Africa. It was about territory and who gets to own the story.
MrBeast, how dare he come in and bogart digging the wells? That's so white guy, always taking fresh water and shoving it down our throats. Oh, another thing this did in Africa was pay for the rebuilding of an African orphanage, which the director of the Hope and Homes for Children charity called it a classic case of white saviorism. So true. Ask any orphan to name the worst part of their life. Show-offs!
Who appointed these people the gatekeepers of altruism? Why are they so convinced they alone can decide which good deed is pure and which one needs to be treated like a crime scene? It would almost be funny if it weren't so revealing. They don't build. They don't fix. They don't solve, but they are always available to condemn the people who do. And the pattern is so predictable it practically writes itself. If someone outside their ideological circle does something genuinely positive, there must be a hidden motive. There must be clout chasing involved. There must be selfishness buried somewhere underneath. But if the exact same act came from within their ranks, it would instantly become noble, transformative, and untouchable. That is the hypocrisy Maher drags into the light. Good should not be treated like a threat just because it came from the wrong messenger. Good is still good, whether the activist class approves or not.
How did we get to this weird place? Telling people who are actually out in the world making a positive difference, you're the problem. Yeah, quick question, who the f*** are you? And this isn't only the media and the people on Twitter who exist to always finding something. He just did it for the clicks, or for the wrong reason, or he should have done more, or sooner, whatever. You signed X. No.
Here's what nobody in the outrage crowd wants to admit. Governments didn't solve this. Institutions didn't solve this. Years of activist conferences, hashtag campaigns, and carefully worded statements didn't put clean water in those villages. One person with a camera and a YouTube channel did. That is Maher's larger point, and it's impossible to argue with. MrBeast's work in Africa is not some cartoon version of white saviorism, no matter how desperately critics try to brand it that way. It is a direct response to genuine human need. Clean water is not ideological. Infrastructure is not symbolic. A rebuilt orphanage is not a talking point. These are real things that improve real lives. And when someone actually delivers them, the rational response is to focus on the people being helped, not obsess over whether the helper passed some activist purity exam before showing up. But for the outrage crowd, optics will always matter more than outcomes, and that single fact tells you everything you need to know about where their priorities actually are.
This is also the National Institutes of Health, which last year proposed to amend their mission statement to exclude the word disability, saying it, quote, could be interpreted as perpetuating ableist beliefs that disabled people are flawed and need to be fixed. Let me take this moment to go on record. Folks, if I am ever struck blind or deaf or paralyzed, don't praise me, fix me. Don't sit around talking about how much I'm just as good as you. Fix me. Do something. Use AI. Invent something.
This is where the whole ideology starts eating itself. Everything, and I mean everything, now has to be converted into an identity, a label, a political brand, a moral performance. Nothing can simply be a human challenge anymore. Disability can't just be something people want relief from. It has to become a cultural category. Activism can't just be helping. It has to become a symbolic ritual with the right optics, the right language, and the right people holding the microphone. That's how far the logic has drifted from reality. Instead of engaging with actual lived experience, the outrage crowd keeps converting human struggle into ideology. They manufacture identity labels for everything and then behave as though those labels matter more than the people suffering through the problem. Practical support gets replaced with political branding. Real empathy gets replaced with performance. And once that shift happens, common sense doesn't just get pushed aside, it gets treated like a threat. The problem stops being something to solve and becomes something to endlessly perform around. And the people who actually needed help? They're still waiting.
You know, there's so much faking this time of year between the presents you don't want to buy and the presents you didn't want to get and the goodwill toward men that lasts until January 2nd. I just don't have room for, and disability is awesome. It's not awesome. And it's not a political affiliation. That's the problem. We turn everything into a political identity category. You're deaf, that's your identity. Don't mess up a good thing by hearing.
Just when you think the argument can't get more absurd, it does. Maher shifts to another example, and this one is almost too revealing to ignore. The new target? The very idea that discussing treatment, improvement, or addressing a disability is somehow offensive because it implies something exists that needs to be fixed. Read that again. The suggestion that people deserve solutions is now considered an attack. And Maher's response is devastatingly simple: if he ever goes blind, deaf, or becomes paralyzed, don't praise him. Fix him. That line lands like a hammer because it cuts through years of ideological fog in a single sentence. People living with disabilities don't need performative applause from people pretending language matters more than lived reality. They need support, care, accessibility, treatment, opportunity, and the tools to actually live more fully. But the outrage machine hears practical compassion and translates it into oppression. Because in this worldview, helping someone improve their condition is suspicious, while congratulating them for enduring it is somehow profound. That is not compassion. That is abandonment dressed up in progressive language.
When Adele lost weight, she was excoriated for betrayal. To who? She betrayed the unhealthy? The woke have even turned the homeless into a political identity group, as opposed to liberals, old school liberals, who just want to get them off the street, which now is seen as kind of judgy, like, don't disturb them in their natural habitat.
In the end, Maher's point goes far beyond one example or one controversy. Woke outrage has reached a point where anything useful, generous, or genuinely inspiring gets attacked before it ever gets understood. If they can't control it, they try to discredit it. This is no longer about progress. It's about control, about deciding who is permitted to do good in public, and who must be torn down for trying. That's why Maher's message cuts so deep. Real help matters. Real solutions matter. And common sense should not be treated like a radical concept. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation is far from over.
Small matters when activism merges with narcissism. Less about the cause and more about me. Look at me. Watch me. And if you like the way I'm fighting injustice, remember to like and subscribe.
It's the same instinct that turns every serious cause into a stage production. Instead of backing real reform, real accountability, real treatment, and direct intervention, the activist class keeps fixating on appearances. When somebody actually does something measurable, they don't rush in to help. They rush in to supervise the morality of it. They nitpick the tone. They question the motive. They police the optics. And that is precisely why so much modern outrage feels completely hollow. It doesn't solve the problem. It just circles around the person trying to solve it and attempts to make the entire effort look morally contaminated. The absurdity would almost be funny if the consequences weren't so damaging. Because while these people are busy performing moral sophistication, real problems stay unsolved. Real suffering stays in place. Real lives stay stuck. That reflex is not compassion. It is sabotage wrapped in self-righteousness, where looking virtuous matters infinitely more than actually doing something useful.
Speaking of which, when I did the Ice Bucket Challenge back in 2014, I thought I was helping the cause of funding research to cure ALS. Wrong again! An op-ed in Time magazine said the Ice Bucket Challenge even seems to be suggesting that being cold, wet, and uncomfortable is preferable to fighting ALS. It was suggesting no such thing. What is wrong with this country that so many people can't be happy for anything for even a second?
The first responsibility of anyone genuinely claiming to care about a cause should be obvious: help the people, fix the problem, improve the outcome. That is the foundation. Everything else comes after. But activism today too often works in reverse. The branding comes first. The applause comes first. The performance comes first. The camera comes first. And the actual solution gets shoved to the back of the line. That is why Maher's point hits so hard. Turning activism into a spectacle while the real problem stays untouched isn't bold or progressive, it's completely backward. It's moral posturing, not moral seriousness. The people suffering don't need another lecture about appearances. They need change on the ground. They need results. Real care measures outcomes. Fake care measures optics. And that is the distinction Maher keeps hammering home. Helping people should matter more than curating the perfect moral image while suffering continues in plain sight. Anything less is just pretending to help while the camera rolls.